taking notes.
Welcome to INS for March 15th, the Ides of March, by the way,
It's a
for you
first.
historians. Roll call, Alder Steuer, I'm here, Alder Eck,
Here.
Alder Campbell,
Here.
and Alder Weary is excused. Would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda
Motion to approve.
Second.
by Eck, seconded by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. Approval of the minutes, a motion, please.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Eck, seconded by
Second.
Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, that passes unanimously. On to regular business. Consideration with possible action on request by Mead Electric Company, Inc. to enter into an annual hold harmless agreement for access to the City of Green Bay sewer system to conduct inspections of the sewer mains and laterals. Director.
At our last meeting, we renewed annual contracts with KS Energies and Speedy Clean for a similar type of scope of services. Mead Electric Company has now approached the city. They are working for utility contractors, providing the same kind of pre-construction investigation of our sewer system prior to doing any work at the terrace. Staff has evaluated Mead's capabilities and their equipment and found that they are competent contractors, so we are recommending approval.
And the hold harmless agreement, I mean, that's a great thing to have, because the work that's being done. So has Mead done work with us in the past on
They
this?
have not worked with us in the past.
Okay.
This is the first time.
So with that being said, I just wanted to ask, as far as costs of services for things like this, that's already worked into the budget? It's a line item?
There is no cost.
There is no cost?
Nope.
They just,
All
okay,
they're doing, typically, some sort of a utility, be it a fiber optic company or Wisconsin Public Service putting gas in, they put that in the terrace area between the back curb and where the sidewalk would be. And a lot of times it's directionally drilled. So what these companies do to make sure they don't accidentally cross bore through your lateral, they will access our main with their camera system, and then they run a probe up the lateral, and they locate the lateral both where it is XY, and they locate the vertical component of it.
so
They
they're
can tell
doing the
how deep it
work,
is.
they're doing the work for themselves in a
They're
sense.
doing the work for themselves.
Which is great, but now what about information that they gather that the city can utilize?
If they notice that there are defects in the pipe, they will notify us of that. If they notice that the pipe is otherwise in good shape, they notify us of that. By them entering the sewer and running a camera down it, it provides another piece of inspection and
Okay.
helps us to inspect more of our sewer mains every year as well.
So-
So it's definitely mutually beneficial.
So it's worked out?
Yes, it
in the
has.
past. Alder Eck.
So we're just voting on whether going into this hold harmless agreement. So it's we're not going to be liable at all, the city.
Correct. This is
basically.
just allowing somebody to go into our sewer system.
So,
Motion to approve.
okay, by Eck, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously.
I would suggest sending him some free pens, Steve Grenier pens, for Christmas or something on this one.
Is there such a
Really?
thing?
I didn't know you had pens. All right. Number 2, consideration with possible action on a request by Department of Public Works to contract with Cone Inc., the city's elevator maintenance contractor, to complete repairs to elevator number 4 at the Pine Street ramp in the amount of $29,995. Director?
Okay, Coney has a multi-year contract with the city for elevator repairs citywide, so that would include elevators that are in our parking ramps, elevators here at City Hall, elevators at Mason Manor. So that's a contract we go out every couple of years and solicit a vendor, and we get them into a multi-year contract to provide these services. Elevator number 4 is in what I would call the northeast or northwest corner of the Pine Street ramp, so the closest corner of the ramp to Schreiber Foods. There's 2 elevator banks there. Elevator 4 is one of those 2. We've had a power unit failure in there, and the elevator is currently non-functioning, so we're down to 1 elevator in that corner. We reached out to Coney to get an estimate on repairs to that elevator to bring it back into compliance and service. They provided a cost proposal of $29,995. So due to that cost that the value of that repair, that does require committee council approval, so staff is recommending approval of that. Funding for that will come out of the parking capital reserve fund.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
It was not a budgeted expense,
Right.
so we'll
Okay.
have to use our reserve funds.
So the Pine, question?
Go ahead.
The Pine Street one, that's not the one that's gonna be demolished?
Correct, that's
That's
me.
separate from the Main Street?
That's me, yeah.
All right.
So is this the only firm right now that we're utilizing for
Yes.
repair?
Yeah.
And I know it's not on the agenda item, but you know, the Cherry Street ramp, I know that we've had an issue with an elevator there, so we can talk about that some other time.
Yeah, Cherry is, that's a logistics and supply issue. We simply can't get the parts.
Okay.
Just because it's there, and we have two, do we really need to have two? Is that a question?
Again, that is the main elevator that serves Schreiber Foods corporate office.
Oh.
And be it down to one,
That,
they're getting by, but it is kind of in position.
Oh, okay. So they're getting tested with it right now?
Well,
they're getting tested.
We did take a look to see what the pros and cons of
Sure.
not repairing the elevator and going down to one, and decided
No.
we better replace it.
I think if you have an elevator, it should be working.
Yes.
That's,
Well, it
I
sounds like
make
you've
a-
done your due
Oh.
diligence, and I'd make a motion to pass this.
Second.
Approve it.
Okay, so by Campbell, we have a second by Eck. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. All right, number 3, consideration with possible action on a request by Department of Public Works to award dams and military landfills - native planting maintenance to NES Ecological Services in the amount of $28,500. Director.
Danson Military Avenue landfills are two of our closed landfills. Landfills closed in roughly 1974, 1975, when the Brown County landfill system opened and we shut down our incinerators. So the Military Avenue landfill, if you're familiar with where the incinerator is on the north side of I-43 at Military Avenue, you can see the smokestack there. Then there's a large hill, and then you get to the parking lot for the Ken Ewers Nature Center. The big hill in between Ken Ewers and the incinerator is the landfill. So that has been closed, and then the Dans Avenue landfill is closer to I-43 from the west, or the east side Yardway Center, right off of Dans Avenue.
Okay.
When these landfills are closed, they go into a long-term care period, which is a minimum of 40 years. In this case, they typically go into perpetuity. And part of that requirement for long-term care is you don't want liquid getting into the landfill. So you plant grasses or native species on the cover. We have done some work supplementing that cover over the past couple of years. Alder Sawyer, you're the only one who's been on the council for a while. You may remember that we had some work out there over the past couple of seasons where we had to disc up some mulch we had placed on there and working with the DNR on that. So we put the native plantings out there to restore that cover. You don't want to invest the money on seeding it and then have the seed not take. So we want to have a consultant out there doing some maintenance to make sure that that seeding comes up and it looks like a prairie the way that it's supposed to. The nice thing with those types of grasses is they don't require regular watering. They got a deeper seated root system. They're more hardy. It's what we definitely want out there. So the money to pay for these services is in the Monitor landfill budget within the operations division.
So that's already, I just had a couple of questions. You know, and I read about the herbicide applications that are out there, and just wondering, like Garland, I never really heard of that. I don't know if you looked into some of the, I was just wondering if, you know, we're talking about a wetland area of sorts, you know, eco-friendly type of things. I know that you're talking about no-mow areas or native grasses, you know, planting or taking out weeds by hand, but then they're also talking about using Roundup in some areas, or surfactants. I never really heard of that word, like Activator 90 or methylated seed oil, MSO.
Yep.
And I'm not as familiar with those, and I'm just wondering if that's the normal standard procedure of operation with something like this, or are these tested in the sense that, you know, we don't have to worry about that getting into the water, et cetera?
We're not concerned with any type of release or getting something bad into the ecosystem. The Garlon is actually a hand applied, so if there's woody vegetation, something that has a stalk to it, we don't want woody vegetation on a landfill cover, that's bad stuff. So they'll actually cut the woody vegetation, but instead of digging it up, then they apply Garlon to the cut area, and it stops the tree, because otherwise you could get sprouts that regenerate from the root system. So it's a hand, they're not going out there and just broadcast spraying all over the place, it's actually hand applied right to the cut area.
So would that die out eventually, or you just?
Eventually it dies out, and then
It just covers.
other plant matter
Will
winds
cover it
up
up.
filling the hole up.
But I just, they're basic questions for me, I just wanted to make sure that some of these things that are being applied are decent products,
Having worked, the gentleman who prepared the plan is James Hobble at Northern Ecological Services. I worked hand in hand with James for 5 years. This guy specializes in native restoration and wetland mitigations. He wouldn't put anything out there that would be detrimental to the public or to the environment.
I just wanted to ask Alder Campbell.
I live within sight of that and drive by, ride by, walk by all the time. Seems to me like an area like that would be just like my backyard and the neighbor's backyard. I mean, if you don't groom it or take care of it, it grows. So it just seems like it's under control, that there's no higher vegetation. I know I never see it, but I think they probably cut it so it doesn't, trees and stuff starts growing.
That's part of the maintenance, is
Yeah.
to make sure you don't get trees or anything that's gonna grow
Yeah.
high like that. And then the selection of the native vegetation is to resemble more like the native prairies that were here before
Yeah.
occupation and habitation. So yeah, the prairie grasses get to about 2.5, 3 feet tall, and then they just don't get any larger.
They got
than that.
deep roots too.
Yeah,
Right.
well, it's a big hill there, and it's
Yep.
really, really wet all the way around it.
The sculpture.
So, I mean, it's been my backyard for 31 years, so. Just interesting about all that, and I know there's not as many deer in there anymore because they've taken them out. But, so that's really not of concern to me. Before it was, what do they eat? Well, they eat everything that gets brought to the leaf dump, basically. It's probably the best feeding spot in Wisconsin, to be honest. And I never actually realized it, and when I would walk through there off the trail, you're like, geez, this is like an adult woods, and there's nothing for the deer to eat. Well, ask anybody that worked there back in the day, and I'm like, you just go get all the horns that are stuck in the pile, because that's where they are most of the time when there's no one there. So, I mean, I was, even as much as an outdoor person as I was, that was a question, and I was like, what do they eat? Well, it's easy to see what they eat, everything you put there, It's giant birds.
Is that incinerator, does the city own that, or is that?
Yep.
Okay. Smokestack, some people wanted to say, let's take that thing out. I thought, why don't we put Green Bay, something on there, like having a welcome sign? What do you think? Something else we can talk about.
Yep.
Do you remember going there and throwing stuff in there?
I grew up in Milwaukee.
No, I do
So,
remember pulling up.
All right,
there
Motion.
and going.
Yeah, we need a motion here.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heck, do we have a
Second.
second? Second by Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Well, part of it is.
All opposed, that passes unanimously. By the way, this goes to City Council for all you people out there on Tuesday.
Keep it up.
Man, that's,
He looks bad.
yeah, there's nobody.
He's talking to the empty seats.
Harvey-
We're just pretending we have like a whole bunch
Harvey
of
the
people.
Rabbit, is he out there? All right, number 4.
Quiet applause comes over the crowd.
Consideration with possible action on a request by Department of Public Works to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the City of Green Bay and the University of Wisconsin Green Bay to allow access to the Tank Farm Pond property, parcel 6-18 and 6-29, for data collection and ongoing research. Director?
Okay, city is partnering with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources on a habitat restoration project at Tank Farm Pond Marsh. And if I can get it up on the screen here.
I looked at the map and I saw 6-29, but maybe I was struggling, or I didn't see 6-18.
Well, and that's part of the problem that,
I just
Well,
saw
there's two maps.
two of the same one though.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
the second
That was-
map didn't get
It didn't get in? Well,
So-
can you let us know roughly where 6-18 might be in comparison to
That's,
6-29?
I'm hoping to get there
Oh, okay.
right now.
I think where's Tank Farm?
Tank Farm is, it's over by the bay.
When you're driving
East
across the
Just
Tower
off the
Drive
driveway.
Bridge
It's all
towards the west side,
the oil.
and you see the farm of
Oh,
tanks.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Tank
okay.
farms.
So they're actual tanks? Okay,
Yes.
Got it, got
Not
it.
Tank Park Farm.
Yeah, because there's a tank park, so it was throwing me off a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
That would
Okay.
be-
So, right here we have the Tower Drive Bridge.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
up there,
okay, showing
okay,
us
got a
there.
map, all right.
So we've got Tower Drive here. Billsby Avenue goes under Tower Drive. Here is one tank farm. And up here adjacent to Atkinson is the second tank farm.
Okay.
This property here is parcel 6-29.
Mhm.
This kind of goofy looking curve and straight, looks like a odd puzzle piece. That is a ditch that runs out to the bay. And then I'm not sure if this one is a ditch as well, but that is parcel 6-18.
So that's within that area.
Correct.
All right. Well,
If you look at the screen.
maybe
you see
for
where
a
it says-
council, we'll have to make sure we get the right map in there.
Yeah, I'll get the right one in there.
For some reason
Now
it's
you
showing,
can see 6-18 on the screen, right here.
Okay, oh,
Where's the pond though?
The pond is immediately to the south.
Oh, just the one in the little triangle there by the on-ramp?
the blue?
Nope,
Oh, I know that one.
right here, 629.
Yeah, where's the other one?
What I mean, the property, they just showed you.
Yeah,
It was that
The
ditch.
pond is on 629.
the ditch is the pond?
Correct.
Oh,
So
okay.
one is the pond, the other is the ditch,
Okay.
if you want to think of it that way.
Okay.
So as part of that project, we have engaged with some community partners to help with data collection and design of this project. One of those partners being UWGB. And what UWGB has asked for in return is to have access to the pond and the ditch area for them to continue on utilizing it as classroom space so they can bring their students out there, do data collection, and then they're also going to do long-term monitoring. So they're going to help us do some of the initial studies to find out what plant and animal species are utilizing the pond. After we do the habitat restoration project, what other plant and animal species have come to start using the pond, and then they'll continue to monitor those effects over time. But in order for them to do that, we get the data and we get to show what the project did, but then they also get to utilize that data for research and for classroom. So
Sounds like
there's
another-
no cost to the city, and it's a good mutually beneficial project, us working together with UW.
We need more of those projects, where everybody gets along.
motion to approve?
By Eck?
Second, but I'd like to make one comment.
Okay, seconded
Just a little.
by Campbell. Go
Let's
ahead,
bring the
Rob.
historic thing, I'm gonna bring the.
All right, we're
So
ready.
a few years ago, when I'd drive across the bridge and I'd go to work, so last 12 years, there was a spring, like just when the ice is melting, that there were at least 30 to 40, possibly even 50 eagles there for weeks that were in them trees. Every single day. You could not count them all. People were literally pulling over. I've never seen that many eagles, full-blown eagles, that were roosting in that little woods above the pond, which I was like, wow, this is a phenomenon. But it was very cool. And I've never ever seen them there again. It was just that one time, must have been a migration.
Well-
But they were there for a couple of weeks, every day.
Well, another history, back in 1990, I was living over on St. Jude Street, and we had yellow-headed blackbirds. Beautiful birds, and there were 100 in our backyard. But they were on a fly path to the bay, and they probably flew right over that. I haven't seen one since. So what I like the idea of GB looking at this, UWGB, and looking at what other species and things are out there, and it would be nice to, over time, to share that information with us. You know, I would like that.
Yep.
Eagles too. So we made a motion, right? And we have a second?
Yep.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor,
I'm all-
please say aye.
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 All opposed? That passes unanimously. All right. Number 5, Consideration with possible action on a request by Department of Public Works to purchase a replacement tractor for closed-circuit television, CCTV, inspection of sanitary and storm sewer facilities within the city. Director?
Okay, in December of 2022, we brought a request through the Finance Department to purchase a new camera and tractor using our 2023 sanitary district funds to have on hand to use for a spare. So these are the closed-circuit cameras that we drop down into our sewers to do camera inspection. The cameras are used on a daily basis. They are very expensive. And if one goes down, that is a major, major pinch on our utility section being able to complete work. So we did decide that it was a good idea to have spare camera and tractor on hand. So that was planned into our 2023 budget. As luck would have it, 2 weeks ago, one of our existing tractors failed. So having a spare is a good thing, but now with the tractor being failed, we don't have a spare anymore.
How old was that?
I think it was 2018, 2019.
So life expectancy, I mean, it varies, I know.
It varies, but this is about right. They are placed in some of the
They're-
harshest environment known.
Yeah.
So if you
It's
get, if you
driving
get
up
5
and down a
years,
sanitary sewer that's live.
you get 5 years out of something, you're doing pretty well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what staff did was took a look at a comparison between repair of the existing tractor or replacement. So in your packet, you have two items. One is a quote from Aries. On the top, it says Sourcewell, and the quote number is S as in Sam 230222. That is for a brand new camera, which has warranty on it for a year, and it's all brand new parts. That is $27,472. The next page, well, there's two pages to
There's
that
the parts
quote.
quote.
Then you go on to one that on the top of the page, it has a JWR.
Right.
That is the replacement parts to repair the existing. If you look on the second page of that, it's $26,609. So for roughly $1,000, we get a brand new camera with the warranty on it. So,
So there is planned obsolescence here, right?
well,
Obsolescence.
not only that, like I said, we can replace with a brand new camera that has a warranty, but with the tractor. The existing tractor that we have has about $15,000 worth of parts that we can salvage to use on the other three tractors that we have. So,
That was gonna be my next
Three of us?
question. What do you got
All
like
right.
that?
3 other ones.
How
Yep.
many? We have total of how many?
three.
3.
So in the past, I mean, people that I know, my customers, old customers, PTS, it used to always be jobbed out to outside people that did it before you purchased all the equipment. You did it yourself?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, we've always, for as long as I've been with the city, 15 years, we've had some camera tech capability, not the amount that we have now. We used to do a lot more subcontracting than we're doing now.
Motion to,
I just have one quick question,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
One of these, and I looked at the full packet, there was a map that I don't seem to pull up here, and it looked like there was work being done on the east side, East Shore, was that part of this? East Shore University, do you remember that?
Not
It was in the
unless
full,
you
it was
said
in the
it's
full, in the full packet, when I opened it up, there was a map on page 14 of that document, and it showed a map of the east side of Green Bay, and it had where some of this work might be done, and I don't know if that was for this particular one, you don't remember a map offhand?
Nothing like that in
There's
our
nothing
packet.
attached to here.
Yeah, and that's
On that
why I
item?
didn't see it, and I
No.
was just gonna ask about the east side, but if it's not there,
I didn't see that.
So-
I'm gonna find it.
Motion to approve?
Yeah, motion by Acker,
Second?
seconded by Campbell, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. If I do find that, I'll ask off the cuff.
Okay.
So,
Mike.
I'm not
Maybe it's
dream-
just
I'm not
a
dreaming.
different
I'm
event,
not
or a different
dreaming.
item.
Okay, here we go. Number 6, consideration with possible action on request by Department of Public Works to amend the Brown County Solid Waste Management Agreement for 2023, establishing a direct haul contract rate for waste hauled directly to the landfill by the city of Green Bay instead of hauling to the transfer station. Director.
In 2021, we entered into a solid waste management agreement between the city of Green Bay and Brown County so that they will continue to manage our solid waste for the foreseeable future. What we did not have in that agreement, the agreement as currently written considers all of our waste going to the transfer station and then being transported down once consolidated into larger loads. We find that there are times where we have a need to haul directly. So, for instance, when we haul our street sweepings down there, it doesn't make sense to take gritty, grainy street sweepings and run them through the compactor. That'll damage the compactor. So instead, we hire the contractor, load that stuff up on a truck, and we haul it directly down. Our current agreement with the county doesn't have a cost in there for us to haul direct, so we would have to pay the tipping station or transfer station rate, which obviously is more expensive. So Brown County came to us and said, hey, we'd like to amend the agreement and provide you with a direct haul rate. We are a contract hauler. So right now, we would have to pay $52.25 per ton, which is the rate at the transfer station. If we were to haul directly down to the landfill, it drops down to $43 a ton. So to give the city that option, that flexibility, staff recommends approval.
Oh, just one other question. Just, I mean, I've used the facility a lot, and $52 is the mark, you know, by the ton, same as I would pay. How many tons is it a dump truck probably? It's mostly for probably furniture and larger waste, is that correct? Or is it garbage in general?
Garbage in general.
Oh, but bulk stuff too, right?
Yeah, everything.
I mean, that's what most of it, I never really see garbage trucks there, but I see bulk waste there, you know?
At the transfer station?
No, at the landfill.
Yeah, we don't drive down to the landfill.
Oh,
Even the bulk trucks will go out to the transfer station.
so is this to work directly with the landfill then?
This would be primarily for waste that wouldn't go through a transfer station.
Right.
Doesn't work with a transfer station. The bulk waste does because it gets compacted and then shoved down the chute.
Right.
But like street sweepings and things like that,
Oh.
that need to be landfill, that's like hauling dirt. So that we would haul down and typically they'll use that as cover material.
So out on West Mason, that's considered the landfill?
No,
or a
that's a transfer
Does
station.
it transfer?
Oh, okay, that's where I'm confused. So I thought way out in De Pere was where they
Well,
separate
that's-
everything.
Isn't it down in Holland?
The landfill's down in the town of Holland,
Town of
south of
Holland.
96.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And there's still a tri-county agreement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All direct?
Just a little, I don't know how much it matters, but it says, the following paragraph is modified to clarify, and it says the responsibly, so I'm assuming it means responsibility of Brown County. Just a clerical error,
Scribner's?
scribblers.
Oh, responsibility? Yes.
Yeah, just, that's the only thing. So motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, by Act, seconded by Campbell. Any other discussion? Before there was just one maybe thing I was going to ask. Okay, I think you already answered it, Steve, about tipping fee and then the contract rate, so, yeah, I'm good. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
Oh, we have the next one.
Oh, we have the next one. Okay.
Maple.
Ah, yes, there we go. I'm gonna find that map for you guys.
Nobody's
I know
here.
I'm not dreaming. Okay, number 7, consideration with possible action, ordering the improvements constructed and levying the assessments for asphalt pavement for South Monroe Avenue from 9th Street to the north termini. Did I say Maple, South Maple? All right, sorry, it's close, South Maple. Director.
That was the project that we held up from the public hearing at the last meeting.
Right. I will say, Alder Eck, I don't know if Alder Campbell's driven out there, but I just drove out there today. And I drove up and, when you get to 8th Street, intersects, north of that, it's a little choppy, but, I've seen worse. And there were how many houses? Maybe 4 or 5 houses along that spot.
Not a lot of residential, but I can see that there's a lot of storage, basically, storage
You know, south of that.
sheds or whatever.
Pretty much, but my concern, and, you know, some of the owners were concerned about flooding, potential flooding out there if the road is put in, you know, will that mitigate anything at all?
Well, there's already flooding, right?
Where's that at the
Or-
end?
There's some fairly shallow storm sewers out there. Obviously, we can't modify outside of our project limits, so we tie into existing storm sewer that's out there. And I know the river outfall is fairly close there, so we're not lowering the sewer by any means, because we do have to tie in to the north to expansion existing. So we're not changing significantly the storm sewer, but we are going to be adding some, and trying to deepen it a bit, so.
Well, I
And
think-
part of the problem, if I'm not mistaken, out there is getting the water off the road into the storm sewer system in the first place.
Yeah, I think really some of the biggest things, and I know there's some photos, is you can see that was taken in March of last year, is that we have pretty good likelihood that there's some compressive soils out there leading to some of the pavement deflections that you see. And the reason you maybe don't see those today is some of the frost may be out of the ground already. So it does change seasonally. And that's why you see such a variation in those photos that were in the packet as well.
Yeah. and
Well, yeah, go ahead, Alder.
Well, I drove it because I'm like, well, I just want to see. So I drove one way and then turned around and came back the other. And yes, there are worse, but it is pretty bad in my opinion. And I mean, you can see pictures. It shows. I was going to pull over and take pictures. So I'm glad you did, because now
Yeah.
we have it in front of us. So it's really hard. Like I had talked to Alder Johnson, who happened to be here that night, but I called him after I drove on it. And, it's hard because I know it's going to cost some people some money, and they don't really want to pay for that. So, but to have it put back on the bottom of the list, and there are people that live there. So I remember, it's Matt, right?
Right. Yep.
That you meet or offer like meetings for the neighbors prior to the public hearing usually, right?
Typically, yeah.
So what was the response from?
This one we have yet, we're still going through the design, so we want to make sure we get through our design. So we have not held a meeting for this yet.
Okay.
Interesting.
Oh, that might be-
EIM before the public hearing?
No, no.
Well, I was wondering, because I know you
Typically,
said
yes.
we usually don't have as many people at the public hearing because they've already been discussing it ahead of time.
Right. And we have talked, I know I've fielded quite a few calls from residents. A lot of times we send letters out early in the year just notifying folks that there's going to be reconstruction. I've personally talked to a handful of the residential property owners on this one that were just asking some questions about it, but everybody's in favor.
Pretty good, yeah.
And I feel that the original phone call that kind of prompted me to take these photos from a business out there as well, that was more or less alerting us of the condition.
I think, it's like anything else. I know that the residential properties would, the wheel tax would take care of the assessments, but I think with the commercial, isn't it half? They have to
Correct.
pay half. So, and I think even there, I don't know, was there any idea roughly what that might cost? It's all based on frontage, correct?
Correct.
So
Well, they
depending on
did
along
say
the
that.
properties, I don't know if there's anything in there that talks about that.
Well, the gentleman,
If we have the rules.
Was there something that we could just kind of get a rough number?
they said last time.
Did it- I
Yeah,
know,
I think
but
it was
I-
$7,000 to $8,000, I believe.
Yeah, so
It
they
doesn't have to
range
be
from-
exact, just something that,
Yeah, they range from about $2,800 up to 80,
Well-
85, 35 or so.
well, Steve, I remember the days where, people, they would request roads, to be fixed, and people would say, I'm not gonna pay for that, so we would send to the bottom of the list. We used to have the postcard surveys and all that. I mean, we don't do that anymore,
We do not.
which, because it got to the point where, all right, well, the road will never get fixed, so. I don't know, I mean, it's gonna be a complete reconstruct, correct?
Correct.
Go ahead.
I just want to clarify,
And then I'll-
you said that one of the businesses called you, or commercial properties? They
Yeah, I
called-
don't know if it was a business owner, it may have just have been some people that come in that just alerted us that the road was almost nearly impassable.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other Campbell?
I guess you've been here long enough. My question goes back to, mean, why the problem here and why the distinction between the commercial and this is this actually a zoning issue at one time that allowed more of these commercial type buildings? I mean, in the future, this is what you run into when you have that? I mean, is one side of the road district one way? I mean, zone one way and then the other? I mean, just to learn something here. No, is that why we're having this?
The type of businesses that are out here are not,
Industrial.
they're not industrial, they're not typical commercial businesses. I think one of the gentlemen who was here last meeting, one of the gentlemen who's upset about it, runs a taxi cab business out of one of those properties. So it's not like convenience stores
Well,
or
I understand
industrial,
that.
they're smaller businesses.
But I mean, you just can't put up a building like this on a residential property.
No, it's zoned as
Correct.
such.
That's just what I'm asking, and this is where we're getting at. If it was this was all residential, we wouldn't even be here thinking.
Right, and the side of the street where the commercial properties are between Maple and Ashland. So their backyard is Ashland Avenue, north of 9th.
Sure.
You haven't driven on it? I mean,
No,
if you
but
go-
I mean, this looks like a collapse of the road in the center.
That's pretty much what's
And it's a
happening.
dead end, so I don't see that heavy vehicles would tear this up in a year.
No, what Matt was talking about, the soils underneath there are frost susceptible soils.
Yeah.
So when it freezes in the winter, everything heaves up. You
Yeah,
know, when it
well, I
melts in the
understand.
summer, it kind of shrinks back down, and the water in there, even passenger cars driving over it, it deflects, it ripples, it goes all over the place, and eventually, after 40 years.
Would they remove that soil? I
Yeah,
guess?
on a reconstruct, we'll actually
Reconstruct.
dig some of that
You know,
bad soil out of there,
I'm
put
thinking,
either fabric or grid down
Tough
and
one.
gravel it.
you know, and the thing is, Alder Campbell, like you were saying, I mean, there are many areas in the city where you have commercial and you got residential real close. I've got it along Velp Avenue. You know, it's hard to avoid completely in the city, but in this case, looking at the road and looking at citizens that lived on the north side, I have a feeling that I'd like to see this go forward. So that's just my opinion, so I don't know.
Make your motion to approve.
That's
Recommend approval.
Second.
By X, seconded by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye.
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 I would just add, this road needs reconstruction, in my opinion, just looking at this picture.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's-
that isn't just one spot in it.
Right. Okay, let me get back to the agenda here. All right, we are on number 8. Consideration with possible action on the list of Department of Public Works projects to be included in the 2023 City of Green Bay Capital Improvement Plan held from the March 1st, 2023 Improvement and Services meeting. Director?
Did you have any conversation with Alder Weary about this?
No,
Okay, because this really is his item.
it is. You know what?
Does it hurt to push it out a little?
It does not.
Okay.
Let's do
What?
it. I would
Why don't we
just
do that?
prefer that. I looked at some of the projects and I thought there seemed to be a lot of projects on the east side, you know, with roads.
Well, that's good.
Well, you know,
See, he's way over there.
Yeah,
He's
he is.
east, we're west.
yeah, we have to deal with it. So just, at first blush, just looking at this report, you know, and I've looked at these reports before and at budget, et cetera. I didn't see anything that was really out of the ordinary.
Well, it is a typical program for us. When we enacted the local vehicle registration fees, we told the council at that time that what we did was we were raising the bar. We were doing about 26,000 lineal feet of road a year. And with that influx of money through the vehicle registration fees, we bumped that up to between 32 to 35,000 on any
A
given
year.
year.
Can you put that down into miles?
35,000?
Is that
About-
22?
Well, this program, the program that we put in here is about 33,000, which is about 6.25 miles.
Oh.
You know where the.
And 6
Never mind, I'm not going there.
but of course,
Point.
you know, when we talk about the amount of roads, you know, for a while we were at 1.5%.
Yeah.
And there's always been a goal to
6.5
try to do
miles,
3%.
22.
So what is 6.5 miles over 450?
This gets us out to about 1.6.
Okay, so it's still, I mean, we've had goals to, let's say, get 3%. Others have talked like that, but, you know, looking
Well-
at this now,
Now, with that,
Yeah.
what you don't have is the financial analysis because it wasn't done before I had to get the items into the packet. This program, as currently proposed, the pavement portion of it alone is about $14.2 million. Well, $14.9 million. When we take into account, we've got about $1.1 million in carryover funding from last year, then we gave you the analysis of the wheel tax a couple of meetings ago. So between the money that carried over from '22 versus, plus the money that we're anticipating bringing in for '23, there's another $3 million there. That's going to require us to request from the finance department approximately $10.7 million just for the pavement end of things. When
we
you
still
add
bond,
in,
we still bond for that.
correct.
Yeah.
When you add in the storm sewer, the sanitary sewer, the parking ramp repairs, and then facility repairs at the DPW garages, our total bond request is going to be in the neighborhood of about $19.5 million. Of that, $12.2 million is going to be levy-supported borrowing, so the borrowing that the debt service binds up on a tax levy. In speaking with the finance department, finance director has told me that bond counsel is recommending that the city's total levy-supported borrowing for '23 be in the $13.3 million range.
For all departments?
All departments.
And you're looking at
So-
12 or whatever.
With that, approximately $4 million is going to be in short-term borrowing, so that would be equipment and fleet needs. And about $9 million of it is going to be in the long-term borrowing, which is major capital. So the $9 million has to be shared amongst all the departments. And my levy-supported borrowing for long-term is 12.2.
When you say long-term, you're talking over the 5-year plan?
No, this would be things that are eligible for 20-year bonds,
Oh, I see.
okay?
Go
The
ahead.
math is not working.
Well,
You're correct.
well,
Yeah, a little bit off there.
I mean, and I know a lot of times when at budget and things, I mean, the things that you request are usually like, hey, I'm not throwing a lot of extra fluff into this thing.
Right, and,
So,
well, I want you to be aware, because there are things that this committee has jurisdiction over and things that they don't, okay? So, approval of the citywide CIP and the bond issue is under the purview of the finance committee.
right.
Had Alder Weary been here tonight, my recommendation after discussion on this would have been to recommend including this list of projects as part of the citywide capital improvement program and requesting bond issue from the finance committee.
Go ahead.
But because he's not here, it would be
That's
okay to
completely up
push
to
it
you.
out and
Well,
then, is it
discussion
gonna
though
be, is it
between-
gonna cause
Do
a
you think
timing
you
issue?
could get caught up?
I don't
by
think so, because the
council?
next time,
Maybe. You know, we
Well, he
could,
could
I mean,
always
he's
look-
gonna be here for council, so it might.
well, the other thing
It's-
I was going to touch on during the director's report, Director Ditchite indicated that he very likely may cancel the March 29th meeting of the Parks Committee.
Yeah,
Right.
We have a public hearing that night.
so we're not.
Just the way
canceling.
things, it may be a short meeting. We may
Yeah.
just come in for the public hearing and be done. But if Alder Weary's going to be here and we have to come in for the public hearing, we could discuss this in 2 weeks' time as well.
Well,
And
let's
still-
let's go
enough-
ahead and put it.
I think there's enough in there to really discuss further.
And
So-
still, we'll
I
still
would say
make the
that.
next council
Put it off.
meeting.
I mean, if it was me.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna make a
You know,
motion to
okay.
hold it till our next
Hold
meeting.
till the next meeting.
So
Is that
that
what
way,
you want to do? Hold
Yeah,
it?
that's fine.
You don't think you could be caught up to speed?
No,
by next
you know, I
Tuesday?
mean,
He
I
has
was
a good
looking at
point.
it, it looks pretty, decent, but Director Grenier brought up the fact that, they have their department and all these other departments are looking to get this into the system, and right now, it just looks like there's gonna be a little bit of tightness with a lot of that. So I think it's better if we hold off and just really make sure we discuss it.
So
That's
this
just
is
my thought.
This is all a year when you said clarify, six miles of road in a year?
So,
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
So I did a motion.
the motion, and did
I'll
you
second.
Did you
second?
second?
To hold it?
To hold it to our next meeting. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And I'm sure we'll have discussions with Alder Wery on this, because I know this is one of his passions, so.
Yeah, and I want to be sensitive to that. That was his request that we
Yeah.
got this on
I
here.
forgot about
I
that.
don't know, what is he?
Otherwise,
he's
I would
at
have
work?
said, hey, do you have anything? It was-
You know, a lot of times we'll talk ahead of time, but he's out of state, I think,
Sure.
right now, and I don't know.
He just sent us a thing saying he wasn't going to be here, so.
And I'll just try to pass on. I think he would appreciate that you got it done for this meeting.
Yeah, it was ready.
Yeah, right. All right, next, number 9, consideration with possible action on the review and award of the contract pavement 1-23, oh, wait a minute, is that right?
Yep.
1-23 South Van Buren Street reconstruction to Peters Concrete Company in the amount of, are you ready, $1,388,022.95.
Peters.
Included in your packet, we provided a summary of the 5 bids that were received. Low responsive responsible bidder was Peters Concrete Company. So staff recommends approval to Peters in the amount of $1,388,022.95.
That seems to be kind of a, because I know when Doty Street was done, that was roughly the same, wasn't it, in terms of cost? I mean, it was like over $1 million.
Yeah,
I mean, that just seems to be standard operating procedure now when you do lengths of road. And the South Van Buren, what does it go from where to where? I know
Yeah, how long is that?
how long of a stretch
Just
is
for
it?
90 years.
I think it's in here, I just don't.
It's 4 years, remember that.
East Mason up to Stewart.
22 is for 4 years.
Okay,
I know.
Motion to approve.
okay. Motion by Eck, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. That passes unanimously. All right, number 10, consideration with possible action on the review and award of the contract pavement 2-23 Huron Road Sidewalk Addition to Peters Concrete Company in the amount of $299,226.20. Record.
So this was a project that came up under former Alder Dorf. So Huron Road on the far east side of Green Bay, between Humboldt Road, so where the Quick Trip and Fire Station 7 is, north up to the 54-57 interchange on the east side of the road. We are seeing evidence of what we call a cow path. So folks are walking in the grass.
You say
There is-
hell?
There is
Cow
no
path.
sidewalk there.
Oh, cow, or, I
What is
thought
cow?
you said hell.
Sorry.
Gosh. That's why I'm like, did you just, okay.
Well, if you get
So
your
now I
shoes
said
in
but
it, you
okay.
normally would say something like that if you get your butt on there. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, okay.
Be a
So there are sidewalks on the west side of the road, but not on the east side. So coming out of that residential district up on the north end of the project, folks are walking in the grass with no viable sidewalk.
Is that a city right away along there, or is that,
It's county.
it's county? Oh,
Yep.
So it's, okay.
So county typically does not participate in sidewalks. They will make the right-of-way available for the municipality, but they don't financially participate in this. So Alderdorf, former Alderdorf came in and had a request in front of the committee and council, which was approved. We were supposed to get it into last year's program, but things got busy and we weren't able to do it, so we got it designed and it went into this year's program, so it went out for bid. We had 3 bidders respond. Peters was the low responsive bidder in the amount of $299,226.20, so staff recommends approval.
How many linear feet are we talking on that? Any idea?
That one's pretty long.
It's a pretty long stretch.
So,
Yeah,
in
it is.
excess of, right around 2,000 feet, I think. Oh,
So is this
shy
just
of a
putting
half
a, if I mean, I know my road's pretty good, and I rode on them too. That's the other end of the
Everyone.
Bear Creek thing. So, this is putting a sidewalk on the opposite side of where there is a sidewalk already?
Correct.
Yeah,
So it's on both sides.
both sides.
Or is it continuing on the other
No.
side, from one side to the other, further down?
No.
No, it runs from the Baird Creek all the way up to the Quick Trip, and then does it, so then it runs past the Quick Trip, the Y, is it Y right there? And then-
Huron is perpendicular to that, isn't it?
Well,
It's,
if you're in this area but on the west side,
Right, I understand.
Okay, so coming up from Lake Largo, the Lake Largo neighborhood.
Right.
If you come up to
To
Huron
Humboldt.
Road at that point,
Humboldt.
that's where the sidewalk starts. And it runs all the way down south past the Y in Bellevue.
Yeah, on one
Right.
side of
So
the
you go
road.
past 2 quick trips along the way.
So is this just putting a sidewalk on the other
So
side?
this
Right.
would be to put it on the east side, so by the quick trip up by fire station number 7 and run north until you get to Highway 57, so we can connect that residential neighborhood up there back down to the quick trip and get them across the street and onto.
Okay, across the street, so not
Arnie Wolf,
not
right by the
parallel to what
church.
exists
Yeah.
already.
parallel with what exists already, so we'll have one on
Well,
each side.
One,
Make a motion.
I don't think you need to.
Yeah, right, it's right across from Celebration Church.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
So, any other
So
discussion?
is there a sidewalk now then, let me clarify this, I'll go drive it tomorrow, that goes all the way to 57 now, on the west side?
Yes,
Let's go ride it sometime.
So my question is, do we have to send city staff out there to plow it?
yes. They're already plowing the other side of the road.
All Eastman Avenue only has one sidewalk, and there's way.
Well, whether or not the sidewalk is needed is not a question. That was already
It's already
approved by the common
decided.
council 2 years ago.
Yeah, so we're just,
So now this is just
It wasn't
approved,
done
whether
last
we're gonna
year.
approve this contract award or not.
yeah,
The low bid.
Right.
So-
right, so we need
Motion to
we need a
approve.
motion by Eck, do we have a second?
Right,
Yes.
What?
Do you want a second or not?
This is just for the
Sorry.
contract.
That's just for the contract.
second to go to council
Okay.
and look at it.
Second, any other
Personally, I don't think
discussion?
we need a sidewalk on both sides,
It-
whether there's.
But that's already been approved.
like
It's been
that
approved.
or
It's
not.
been approved.
All right.
So, any other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, thank you. And it does go to council, so you can, whatever. All right, number 11, consideration with possible action to approve and accept the additional rights-of-way required for the reconstruction of School Place, Oak Street to 13th Avenue. Director?
You will probably be seeing a handful of these. When we started work on the design for Oak, or School Place, we found out that School Place actually has a very narrow right-of-way and on the north side of the street, oftentimes the sidewalk is actually placed on private property. So as part of the property, or part of the project, we've been trying to pull together, purchase these little pieces of right-of-way from existing property owners so that we get the sidewalk inside the right-of-way. Included in the packet, we have 2 pieces of property here, 980 School Place and 974. They are what we refer to as nominal takes, meaning very small. So our real estate specialist, the right-of-way specialist, does a market analysis, finds out what the cost per square foot is, calculates by the number of square feet. It's $1,400 per parcel. So staff recommends approval of these.
Is there a map showing both? I see one map. Is there a map for both?
Well, there's a map for 980. Then you actually get into the warranty deed, the nominal parcel payment,
Oh,
waiver of appraisal.
never mind.
And then there's
I
the
said-
second one with the same information again.
I got it, thank you. All right, do we have entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
By Eck,
Second.
Second by Campbell. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. All right, number 12, report of actions taken by Department of Public Works. We go through all of these, granting of licenses, sidewalk builder. I'll read them off. Allied Concrete Construction, Inc., Block Construction Company, Inc., Three Corners Concrete LLC, and Verhey and Construction Company. Should I do all of it?
Yes, please.
Number 2, underground sprinkler system. A is by Roberts Quality Irrigation LLC. What are we looking for here?
Nothing. Again,
They're just a report.
these are licenses that have been granted, so we're simply reporting out
Okay.
to you that we have granted the licenses.
Okay.
So you can receive and place on file. the
Make a
report.
motion to receive and place on file.
Okay, by Campbell, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eck. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. F, informational, director's report on recent activities of the Public Works Department. Director?
And just very briefly, what I'm going to tell you is we have been extremely busy, as you might imagine, with the active weather system we've had. All staff on deck has been working on hauling, scraping, and then cleaning out inlets in between storms.
So you mentioned, I think in our last meeting, you said we have 3 more events planned. How many have we had since? I mean,
We've had 6 since.
because there was one that happened and then the next day, that's a separate event, right?
Correct.
Or if you have 2 in one day, can you have 2 in one day?
I would consider that one continuous event, but I think we've
Yeah.
had 6 since I made the prediction of 3.
What are we standing at as far as amount of snow?
If memory serves,
Heard 100 and something.
I think we were at 54 Monday and we got almost 10, so we're over 60.
And normally it's about 45, roughly,
Right.
so we're over average. Okay.
I did a full inspection of my district
We-
Monday. It's all cleaned up. Nice
Good.
job.
Glad to hear it.
Well, I think
Yeah.
we were under, and then all of a sudden, whoa, everything came in one.
I had one citizen kind of complain, like she said, they came down my street 6 times and it wasn't like, there wasn't that much there. So I know there are times where,
We get
you know, you're
both.
just getting closer to the, you know, to the yard.
4 is normal.
Right. So
4 is normal.
I guess I just wanted to tell her that, you know, sometimes it's like, was this overkill?
Well,
Or, you know, like just having come in.
You get ones, not enough or too much?
I know. Hey, listen, I'm just talking.
Sorry, I know
the
I'm being
citizen-
recorded
I think
right
it's-
now,
I
but
think the
seriously.
application of
The
everything
citizen
and
calls.
the weather, and there was just good
We've,
cooperation.
it's been pretty darn good this year. I haven't had any major complaints. I know that there was that time where you couldn't do much and you let us know, saying that it's probably gonna freeze. And it was just a combination of things over a day or 2 period that you really didn't do a whole lot of.
Sun makes the biggest
That was
difference.
rough.
That was
really rough.
kind of tough.
We came back for a week after that, and every day we'd scrape what was loose on top, and then we'd scrape what was loose on top. We spent a week chipping away at
Just
that.
chipping away at it, yeah.
And I think the long dragged out snow kind of kept everybody off of the curb and parked, and so it made it a lot easier to
Well,
keep
I
it
was
clean.
worried that
Good.
that event had potential to really, really get bad. And Monday
Yeah.
morning, when I was on my way in, there was a 1/10 of an inch of ice accumulated on I-43 because of how that stuff started off. The snow coming down was melting. It was accumulating on non-paved surfaces, but on the pavement, it kept melting until
Right.
about 8 o'clock on Sunday night, and then it started accumulating. With the amount of water that was on the pavement, as that accumulation started, it flash froze and turned into ice.
Yeah.
So it could have been a really, really
It could
bad
have,
system,
yeah.
and the guys did a great job with it.
You said it before, I think the fact that there's pretty much 0 frost in the ground right now is a good thing for all this snow to hopefully drain off and go where it's supposed to relative
yeah.
to the
My sump
temperatures,
pumps
you know?
won't drain, yeah.
Because that'll help a
The
lot
frozen tundra?
with flooding issues.
Yeah, now they're talking about rain turning to snow on Friday. So.
Well, okay. All right, is there anything
Eyes
else?
of March.
Anything else?
I just want to thank you to,
Yeah.
you know, pass it on, appreciate
Yeah,
all the work.
very much so.
I know it's been a
I wave,
lot.
I always wave. They go too quick, I can't give them coffee or donuts, but, you know, I know they.
You hold up a donut box, they probably would pause for a second, open their window and grab it, right?
No, come on.
I just lost my screen here.
So yeah, we're simply, the
moving
next
toward-
item on the agenda would be next meeting.
Is-
And as I told you,
We still didn't-
we are going to meet on the 29th. We
Okay.
won't be canceling just,
So we'll,
and just so that we can explain to you why that is, there are statutory requirements. So when you read state statute, it tells you you must do a preliminary resolution declaring an intent to levy assessments. And then there are time periods that are no less than so many days, but no more than so many. So there's a window you have to hit in order to have the public hearing. And we had to get the initial resolutions in so we could start the clock ticking. But then because we started the clock ticking and now we've got the election coming, we have to hold the public hearing on a certain day or we're gonna miss that window and we gotta start the clock all over again.
right,
Okay,
So even though we're not gonna have another council meeting, we still need to meet to conduct the public hearing.
right.
Okay.
That's understood.
and do we need to receive and place on file your director's report?
Sure.
So motion to receive and place on
By
file.
Eck, do we have a
Second.
second? Second by Campbell, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
So,
right.
just a question, clarification here. So, the Maple Street issue here, now it'll go to council, so is that part that will go back to that hearing? Or is it an action thing
Well,
after that?
No, because the public hearing was satisfied.
Okay, that's
We
what
were
I'm
able to
asking.
retire the public
So
hearing
the
2
new one
weeks
is
ago.
on next issue?
We never took action on it, so tonight we took action.
Yeah, but does it come, other than council, next Tuesday?
No,
That's
it's been
it.
done.
Right,
That's it.
okay.
Yep.
But you're, I mean, you're still gonna meet with the people or do?
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, we'll send out information to them, and then we also hold a public informational question and answer session, is what we're calling it, where folks can come in. They can either call in, or they can come in, and we'll answer any questions.
Steve, I found the map. Is that, that's in today's,
In the packet?
it's in the packet. It's in, yeah,
Must be
it's,
way at the bottom.
no, page 14 of 72 of the entire packet.
Oh, wow.
And I just was attachment 1 of 1, and it shows Nicolay Drive, University Avenue, East Shore, and Dan's. And there was 11 different locations, and I thought that might have to do with the sewer.
See, I usually,
That's immediately.
Mead Electric.
That's part of the Mead Electric. That's where they're planning on entering our sewers.
Okay, and that's what I just needed to
Okay.
understand, that's all.
I know I like to click on each item so then I know which attachments go with that, rather than go to the packet and then, you
Well,
know,
and
the
the
whole
packet,
thing, all the,
the packet is many times so big.
Yeah.
and- But anyway.
This time it was 72 pages.
Yeah, I know, that's a breeze.
uh,
I've had a few, yeah, go ahead.
motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn by X, seconded
Second.
by Campbell. Any other discussion, all in favor? Please say aye.
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 Thank you, gents.
And I learned something today,
And
Tame
you
Farm.
The Tame Farm.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that other thing?